welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, ET Now special initiative that focuses on you, the MSME entrepreneur. We understand the issues that you, the entrepreneur, face, and this show aims to bring you the most relevant and the most updated information on every aspect of your business. Tonight, we're speaking with Thyrocare. Dr. Velumani, thank you very much for joining us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow. You've said previously that you decided to become a specialist and not a generalist. The reason I want to start this conversation with this question is to understand what your advice is to our viewers, whether they're in the healthcare industry or any other industry, or whether or not to focus on their core areas or expand their focus and therefore diversify risk.
I was a research scientist. I didn't know much about business. Somewhere in my mind, I felt I shouldn't continue to do a government job. I left it. I had a provident fund amount of 2 lakh rupees, and I had my PhD in thyroid function testing. So I felt I must work focused on thyroid. In fact, the strength of the entire business is because I focused on thyroid, which no one thought it would be fruitful focusing. Once I have focused, it took pretty 2 years period to make a break even, but the focus itself subsequently became a huge strength. The name tells it all, and people who wanted thyroid testing had to think about me. So instead of running a general pathology laboratory, I started my journey of building a brand around a gland. When it comes to business, you have two options. Either you can focus or you can diversify. Focus means you are looking for depth. Diversifying means you are looking for width. I have not understood that in this business there are too many people who diversified and become very big. Of course, yes, after reaching a business stage, you can hand over this business to one CEO and you can focus on another business, create another CEO. But if you are the only CEO, it is better to focus, and I decided to focus. All others did a pathology business. I did a biochemistry business. Pathology consists of pathology, biochemistry, microbiology. I did not do pathology. I did not do microbiology. I focused only on biochemistry. There are two kinds of illnesses. One is diseases, another is disorders. I didn't focus on diseases, I focused on disorders. Like that, I believe my business success is purely because of focusing. Once you focus, you don't have a competition. In fact, if you see competition, that means you have not adequately focused. So if I am asked, I believe there are only two kinds of people, one who is successful, another who did not focus.
There are a lot of companies and startups of late which are marrying technology and healthcare. Are you happy with the way that it is being done right now in India? And how can small healthcare companies use technology to compete effectively with larger peers like yourself when technology is really leveling the competitive playing field, so to speak? How can technology be used by MSMEs, particularly when money is a constraint?
Business can never be amplified, scaled up without technology. But technology alone is not the business. Plenty of people believe having an app, connecting it to a server is all technology. If you look at the way in which I worked, first I had chosen the lab technologies which are useful in preventive care and biochemistry field. So once I got these machines in place, now machines are there, servers need to be connected. That is the time when I looked for a technology. 21 years back, I was a technology company without knowing that I am in a technology. So anyone who has a good product, who has a good process, who has a good business in hand can amplify it only using technology, and technology alone is not a business. Today's startups are confused. They believe that if I can connect patient to doctor, to laboratory and to a medical shop, that is all business. Yes, connecting is not business, creating a business is a business. So, having said that, 1 among 100 are in a right path, and probably 10 among 100 could make it bigger. Remaining 90% would be finding it very difficult because they have only technology in hand, they only have a server and connectivity in place. They don't have a business model for which patients will come to that and remain dependent with them. So, if you ask me, technology plays a central role in amplification and reach to the remote markets. But technology alone is not a business. It has to be either a medical technology or a fintech or any kind of business where technology is a support, and technology alone is not today making sense to me as a business, and startups are realizing it and they are tweaking their business model.
Since we're speaking of technology, I want to ask you, in your mind, in your opinion, what are some of the biggest challenges when it comes to using technology in healthcare in India? Are those challenges, in your opinion, then particular to smaller healthcare firms, and how does one really overcome those?
In business, irrespective of whichever is the space, the major three challenges are IT, HR and logistics. This is these are the fields which not many have understood. 25 years back, these three fields were not known and existing. Today, these three are the most vital fields. In fact, all big listed companies, if you look at, they will be either IT companies or logistics companies or HR companies. Having said that, technology is nothing but an IT. Technology is a connector between a customer and a product and the distributor and the channels. So, technology plays a big role. Today, startups have got probably technology right, but have they got logistics right? Have they got HR right? When it comes to HR, many may think that I have a dozen people, I have a 2 dozen, even I have 60 people, that is what is HR. Country is a billion population country. It is spread in such a vast geography. So, unless or otherwise you have people who will go identify distributors, identify channels, make relationships, make sure the product and the product's quality all are in place, I am pretty sure the major challenge today is HR. The second biggest challenge is logistics. How to get, of course, if it is an IT business, if it is a connectivity business, probably logistics is relatively easy. But if it is a services business, whether it is a hospital or a laboratory or a pharmaceutical company, it is very important that logistics is looked into as a serious and a challenging compulsion in this space. So, if you ask me, technology is relatively easy. HR probably you can focus and make it workable, but then logistics will be a final challenge, and these three challenges, if they are taken care of, I think the business would be in a right path, in a right pace.
On the flip side, technology is perhaps best suited for a country like India with areas that are yet to be serviced effectively by the healthcare ecosystem. What would be your one piece of advice for our viewers about tapping that opportunity?
Technology is easy. Technology probably is connecting the screen, queries and tables in a server. I think that's the healthcare part of the technology. But as I said, IT alone is not saleable. You need to have products. So, you have got a product or service and you have connected with IT and you are reaching to the nooks and corners of the country. In fact, that is your dream. Can you reach it? Is that easy? India is such a big country. Though we say we are almost digital there, we are still seeing only major metros connected with the 4G, other cities connected with 3G, and smaller towns still are 2G. So, anybody who tries to connect, especially healthcare and medical technologies, you have connectivity as a big challenge. So, reaching to taluk headquarters are still a dream and not many could reach. Another big problem, it takes very simple 2 months time, 3 months time for anyone to copy whatever you are doing. So, if you are doing something and if you are not doing it fast, it was done by someone else much faster. So that's another challenge, because IT, coding and entire business processes today are not that big a business secret. One can keep it as mine. Faster he is very much there. If he is not, then somebody else is ahead of it. This is the biggest risk and challenge for anyone who is on technology business.
Let's take a quick break on that note, but we'll continue this conversation. Just stay tuned. Doctor, viewers about Aarogyam, your preventive healthcare product and the expansion plans that you possibly have there.
When I entered into this field in 1995, I was analyzing what is the preventive care as a segment in this country. Unfortunately, in 1995, it was only 1% preventive care, remaining 99% sick care. I was analyzing what is happening in Western world. Western world has more than 50% preventive care. Obviously, tomorrow if we have to call our country and ourselves as developed, we need to cross a 50% mark in preventive care. So that time itself I felt the routine illness, routine diagnostic test has a competition from 100,000 laboratories. How will I differentiate? So I thought of creating a preventive care profile and brand. That is where I embarked on Aarogyam. Today, in my total balance sheet, 52% of the turnover is from Aarogyam, which means in the preventive care curve, I am far ahead than my peers, and I am extremely happy today that I could think 12 years back that preventive care will pay good dividends. By the by, not just I have worked on it, the entire market is today working on preventive care. What was 1% in 1995 today is 10% in the country, and it will take another 25 years for the country to have 50% preventive care, and the journey is on, and I am pretty happy. In the entire pathology space, there is only one brand, that's Aarogyam, and we are happy that it is ours.
Have you seen any impact coming out of the whole demonetization that the country has been reeling under for over a month now, Dr. Velumani? Most industries across the board seem to be impacted. Have you seen any impact?
Demonetization did have an impact, a very serious adverse impact for a week, for a fortnight. This is because people have got used to dealing with money in a very different way. I think of all the industries, healthcare industry and the food industry is two industries which had been handling 95% of the total revenues in cash. Now suddenly we call it as a cashless economy, and we have completely upset and disrupted by demonetization. So it took pretty week, 10 days, even a month period for people to understand how to work on a new environment. Having said that, healthcare is not something you have an option to refuse, deny or even delay. So I have a reason to believe after 1 week's small setback, we are back in track, and I have a reason to believe this year's Q3 is as expected compared to last year's Q3, which means demonetization either had no impact or very insignificant impact in our business.
Speaking of government regulation and policy and government action, in fact, we have to talk about GST at this point. GST is something that everyone is holding their breath for and waiting even while this commentary on when we could finally see it being implemented. But from a healthcare perspective, what impact is GST likely to have?
GST is a subject for every industry other than healthcare industry, because in healthcare industry there was no tax only for any services which we provide to patients. We were all happy, and I think in between some efforts were there to introduce some tax to healthcare services too. That was opposed, and then I think we are as on today zero tax domain. So we have a fear what kind of impact GST will bring in. They might bring in 2%, 4%, 8%. I have no knowledge, but I have a reason to believe that healthcare shouldn't be taxed, and government might be aware, and if it does, people should be prepared, and I have a reason to believe the industry may become much more organized if some tax is there. But being a stakeholder in this space, I would love to see government exempting us, and I think GST wouldn't create an impact on healthcare industry in its financials, but if it improves the economy, if it improves the GDP, if it improves the spending capacity of the common public, healthcare business will become better and fast growing.
We speak very often about the next generation of companies. I understand both your son and your daughter are going to join the business or already have, in fact. What should companies keep in mind when it comes to the next generation of companies and having a successful succession plan?
Yeah, once you make a business, especially if you are a first generation entrepreneur, you have created a buffalo. You lifted the buffalo when it was a calf. You lifted every day. After 20 years, you are having a capability to run a very big organization. Today, I look at it, I myself, who was a government officer 20 years back, today running a $500 million value company is a very challenging one, even for the most experienced man like me. Having said that, my children are 27 and 25. In fact, they have got 15 years of experience because they have been living inside the premises of the laboratory ever since we made laboratory. But they haven't been in a hurry to occupy chairs, positions. We believe this company after this stage would need professionals to run the business. So maybe another 3-5 years we would have ideal kind of professionals who will sit and run it. My children might enjoy the board's position as well as advisory positions, but I am not against them if they are confident enough, capable enough to take challenges. I think once they cross 30 years of age, I will take a call whether they should be officially occupying positions and chairs in the organization and run the business, or make sure that they help in the board level and run the company. I don't see today I myself old. I think I should do another 12 years of business. So I am not in a hurry for a succession. But having said that, every man cannot have a guarantee that he will live sufficiently long. We need to make arrangements so that the company runs on its own. Even today, my presence in the day-to-day operations has come down by 50%. Ever since we thought about getting listed, and I have been weaning myself away from the routine operations. I think this company has got enough managers, enough bandwidth to manage the company the way in which today it's growing, and we should be able to raise the human resources internally, and if necessary, we can get people from outside too.
Let me round this off and cap this interview off by asking you what your expansion plans are looking like for Thyrocare.
I think for the last 20 years, I didn't plan and expand. I have been a restless man. I look at quarter to quarter, and I look at whether I am doing a 25%, 30% growth or not. If I do that, I might take the expansion plan aggression for next year. But having said that, the expansion routes are more geographies, more technologies, more tests, more manpower, more aggression, more branding. I don't think anything is very innovative or different I can do except being more aggressive and investing more time and resources into business. We do have focus, and we will continue to focus on biochemistry, and the country is sufficiently big. Only when we look at the growth coming to stagnation, according to me, if growth gets less than 20%, that's getting into stagnation. We will continue to remain focused. and grow the business by growing the number of franchisees, growing the turnovers of each franchisee. And the country is 1.25 billion population, and I don't think there is any worry until year 2025.
That's our show tonight. Do remember, if you have anything that you'd like for us to hear or you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com. You can reach us on social media using the hashtag LOT. You can personally tweet at me at Sunanda_J or call us on that number you see on your screen. We promise to have all your questions answered. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.